Okay, good morning for the third time round. Hello and welcome everybody to the session today. My name is Samantha Ragg. I'm the Trust's Recruitment and Resourcing Manager, and I'll be your webinar host for today. The session is being recorded, which is why your cameras aren't working. So for your own privacy, I've disabled your camera. However, your microphones do work, and that's because we've got about 10-15 minutes at the end of the session today for you to ask any questions. But what I would ask is, whilst we're doing the first part of the webinar, if you could keep yourselves on mute, that would be really helpful for me. It just prevents any bounce back occurring on the video. I will introduce colleagues that I have with me today. I have Jo with us today from the recruitment team. Jo is going to be monitoring the chat box for us. So if you have any questions that you want to ask throughout the session, you can use the chat box and type a question in there, and Jo will do her best to answer the question. Any questions we don't get through today, we will email the reply to you. So don't worry, we will come back to you. I have a colleague, Neil, from the Adult Acute Inpatient Service, who's with us today. I have my colleague, Hannah, from our communications team, who's here to just support and make sure that the session runs smoothly. Then I have my colleague, Jill, from our specialised supported living service. Jill's going to be giving you a bit of information about that service a little later on in the session. And then finally, I have my colleague Christopher, and Christopher is a healthcare support worker at our children and young people's inpatient service at Red Kite View in Armley. And Chris is going to be giving you a little bit of information about the children and young people's service later on. So, the point of the webinar today is for us to give you as much information as we can about what it's like to work for Leeds and York Partnership Trust, the vacancies we have on offer at the moment for healthcare support workers. So you'll get, as I mentioned, you'll have some information given to you about the services, about the post of being a healthcare support worker, the types of service users that you may get to work with if you apply and are successful for the role. We want to give you as much information as we can to help you decide on whether or not you want to apply. So I'm going to, sorry, could whoever's got their mic on off mute, would you mind just popping yourself on mute for me, please? Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to start off by just giving you a little bit of information about Leeds and York Partnership Trust. So we are the main provider of specialist mental health and learning disability services in Leeds. We also provide specialist services across York, the Yorkshire and Humber region, and some highly specialised national services as well. So we provide services for people experiencing learning disabilities, mental health crisis, individuals that require urgent assessment and treatment no matter of their age, and this could be somebody's first experience of a mental health distress or a relapse of an existing mental health or learning disability illness. We also support people to live independently in the community as well. So we support people living with issues such as addictions, eating disorders, physical problems that have psychological causes, and those needing the support of our gender identity service as well. So you may have seen on our advert, we are a values-based employer. So what that means is we strive to be an employer of choice. And so we do this by putting our staff and our people using our services at the centre of everything that we do. And that starts with the people that we employ. So we recruit based on values and qualifications where required, and we believe that lived experience is an advantage. So we look for the potential in people, not perfection. And this means that together we are as diverse as the communities we care for. And simply put, we seek out people who care, who act with integrity and have the right set of skills. So we want to add to our incredible staff, students, our amazing volunteers, who all share these principles with people like you. People like you who find empathy comes really easily and who treats everyone with respect without thinking. And by recruiting in this way, not only can we give more people the opportunity to help those living with mental health challenges, learning disabilities, and neurodiversity, but we can also help more people use their natural strengths to feel purposeful, to feel happy, and to feel valued in every respect of their role at Leeds and York Partnership Trust. So that's a little bit about us and what our values and behaviours are and what we expect from our colleagues. But before we move on to talk more about the organisation and our employee benefits, I just want to mention about sponsorship and visas. So the Trust only sponsors Band 5 and above registered professionals, such as nurses, medics, so doctors, and allied health professionals. We do not sponsor healthcare support workers. So if you were to be successful and join us on an existing temporary right to work, such as a student visa, a graduate visa, or a dependency visa, we will not be able to sponsor you when that expires. That does mean that unfortunately your employment with us may only be for a short amount of time. If you do require sponsorship to work in the UK, we won't be able to sponsor you at appointment, at the point of recruitment for a healthcare support worker role. And unfortunately, your application would automatically be rejected. And this is on the basis of the sponsorship rules set by the Home Office. So I just wanted to make that clear. And obviously, if anyone's got any questions about that at the end, I'm more than happy to answer those questions at the end of the session. So something a little bit more cheerier. What are the benefits of working at LYPFT? So we have a really fair and transparent pay structure. We follow a set of pay structures called Agenda for Change. Now, a healthcare support worker role is currently at Band 3. Within that Agenda for Change pay structure. So if this would be your first role as a healthcare support worker, you would join the bottom of that pay structure. So your pay would be £24,937. And after 2 years of service, so 2 years of being in that role within the NHS, that will increase up to £26,598. But the good news is that the NHS, as general across the whole of the NHS, will be receiving a pay increase from the 1st of April this year. So the new pay structure from the 1st of April for Band 3 healthcare support workers will be £25,760, increasing to £27,476 after 2 years of service. We have a really generous pension scheme. The trust, so Leeds and York Partnership Trust, contributes 20% of your salary. Doesn't come out of your salary, but they contribute 20% into your pension every month. We have an amazing holiday allowance. So when you join the organisation, if it's your first job within the NHS, you'll get 27 days holiday, and that does increase with service. We really believe in flexible working where possible within an inpatient service. So if you do require a flexible working pattern, you speak to your line manager about that, and they'll do their best to be able to facilitate that. We have a real commitment to. Oh, sorry, I'm just going to check the mic's on mute. Sorry about that. We have a real commitment to career progression within the trust, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later on. And we have amazing health service discount schemes such as a blue light card and the health service discount scheme as well. Some really great discounts on your everyday shopping and lifestyle brands. But as well as the physical benefits of working for the organisation, your health and your safety is really important to us. Your well-being is really a priority, and we want you to feel supported and safe at work. We want you to feel well at home and well at work as well. So we really do foster a culture of compassion, inclusion, and belonging. We really are here as an organisation to support each other. So what can you expect from us? Every year, you'll have a staff wellbeing assessment. So that's a compassionate conversation about your personal and your working environment with your line manager, and they'll put in place any individual support that you need to be well and safe at work. We have an incredible health and wellbeing hub that's full of lots of different resources to support your own health and your well-being, both physically and mentally, at home and at work. We have a program called Health Assured, which is an employee assistance program where you have 24/7 access to talking therapies, to medical appointments online, and that is accessible for you and for your family as well. And then we're also really lucky to have some incredible support networks within the organisation. We have the Rainbow Alliance, the Disability at Work Network, the Workforce Race Equality Network, and the Service User Network. And these are groups of people within the organisation that run incredible support networks that come together on a monthly basis to make sure that everybody that works within Leeds and York Partnership Trust is represented, they feel safe, and they don't face discrimination. So I'm now going to play you a short video on what it's like to work at Leeds and York, which gives me an opportunity to take a break and stop talking so you can sit back and enjoy the video.
I think we've lost Sam. She's coming back.
Hello, sorry everybody. That was a great example of when technology completely lets you down. Bear with me 1 second and I will reshare my slides. Thanks, Hannah, for momentarily taking over for me. Right, where they gone? Where were we? Video. Okay. So now I just want to give you a bit of information about our services, specifically the services that currently have vacancies for healthcare support workers within the Trust. So we will shortly be hearing from some of our colleagues within these areas, but just to give you a quick oversight, the services with vacancies currently for Band 3 healthcare support workers are our acute inpatient service, and they have vacancies within their psychiatric intensive care unit at Newsom Centre, which is in Leeds, within the Ward 1 female acute inpatient at the Beckland Centre, Ward 3, which is the male acute inpatient ward at Becklin, and also within Ward 4 at the Becklin Centre, which is also in Leeds. We have vacancies within our specialised supported living service, which Jill will explain better than I can, is scattered across the city. So citywide within Leeds. We'll also be hearing from our children and young people's mental health service, which is one of our inpatient units, Red Kite View at Armley, which is also in Leeds. And we also have some vacancies at the Mount in Leeds for our older people's service as well. So on that, the older people's inpatient service, as I mentioned, that's an inpatient older people service. They are based at the Mount in Leeds. What they do is they provide 24-hour assessment, treatment and care for any person who's aged over 65 with acute mental health need, and that can include somebody with dementia, or any person under 65 who is clinically frail. I'm now going to hand it over to my colleague Neil, and Neil is going to just spend a few minutes with you, giving you an oversight of vacancies within the adult acute, what it's like to work in a service, and lots of other helpful top tips. So over to you, Neil.
Thanks, Sam. My name's Neil Holmes, and I'm one of the acute inpatient managers. I work predominantly or solely on the psychiatric intensive care unit up at the Newson Centre, which is in Secret part of the city, and the rest of the service is near St James's Hospital in the Hair Rolls area. There's 3 different types of wards within the acute service, as Sam's already mentioned. There's female acutes, there's male acutes, and there's the psychiatric intensive care unit, which is the mixed sex ward. If you were a support worker on one of our wards, you'd be looking after adults between the ages of 18 and 65, occasionally people that are a little bit older, but that's uncommon. And the vast majority of people are experiencing an acute mental health episode with associated risk, which requires a bit of an inpatient stay. Ideally, that would be a short-term stay with us. This is people at their lowest in a crisis point, and it's really, really rewarding to work within the acute service because people often come in really, really unwell, and then we're able to do that sort of intervention and hopefully turn things around for people and get people back on the road to recovery. In terms of what the shifts look like for you guys, we have a early shift, a late shift, and night shifts. And also we've got the opportunity to work long days if that's something that's convenient for you and what you've got going on outside of work. So our early shift starts at 7 o'clock in the morning and finishes at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Our late shifts start at 12 and finish at 8, and our night shifts are 7:30 until 7:30. And if you wanted to work long days, that would start at 7:30 in the morning and finish at 8 o'clock in the evening. And we work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. So that would also include night shifts. And in terms of what you'd be doing on a day-to-day basis, typically you'd come in and you'd read notes of the patients that you're allocated, and then you would work with a couple of patients across the day, helping them with practical things, spending time with them, listening to them, giving them support, doing things like ringing up benefits agencies, maybe doing other sort of simple tasks like bathing and laundry and those types of things as well, and really developing these relationships with people over the passage of time so that they see you as a person that's there to help and get them on the road to recovery. And also we'd be asking you to do maybe group activities if that was appropriate. Maybe if you're on a male ward, maybe taking some of the gentlemen down to play pool or things like that. But also we'll be asking you to sort of escort people outside of the hospital if people need to visit the community, go to shops, go to appointments, maybe trips homes and things like that. You'd be working within teams that were predominantly made up of support workers and nurses, but also we work with occupational therapists and doctors, and health support workers are an integral part of the care that we do because they end up being the people that end up spending the most time with the patients. And if it wasn't for them, we couldn't do what we're designed to do. I think that's it for me, Sam, if that's okay.
That's brilliant. Thanks, Neil. Excellent. Okay, so next we'll move on to our specialised supported living service. So I'll introduce you to my colleague Jill. Jill's going to, like Neil, spend a couple of minutes talking to you about the specialised supported living service. So over to you, Jill.
You. Hi, sorry. Hi, as Sam said, I'm Jill and I work in the specialised supported living service. So as the slide says, we support around 90 people, adults over the age of 18 with learning disabilities, physical disabilities, complex needs across Leeds. If you were to work as a support worker within the service, you would work in one of the 16 houses we have across Leeds, and we have houses across north, south, east and west of Leeds. So we do try, when we are interviewing people, to match people to a location that would work for them. So working in the supported living service, it means helping people with learning disabilities to live in their own home and to lead a fulfilling life. We support people with a wide range of needs, which includes complex health needs and different health conditions, behaviours that some people might see as a challenge, and people often have an additional physical disability as well. Within the supported living service, you are working in somebody's home. So this is their home for life or for as long as they want it to be. So it's kind of a job that you get to really know the people that you are supporting. You would work as part of a team as well. Within the service, no 2 days are ever the same. You might be supporting someone with their usual daily routine and personal care. You could be meeting somebody's health needs, or you could be using positive approaches to support people when they're feeling overwhelmed or anxious. But equally, you could be out and about. You could be taking somebody to Alton Towers, or going to the theatre, or horse riding, or shopping, or planning a holiday with people. It really is a very varied role. A big part of the role does involve communication and really understanding people's communication, especially when people don't use words to communicate. So that means that you might be learning to recognise people's body language, facial expressions, sounds, or using many of the different communication tools and aids that we have to support people. The role really does require patience and good communication skills and building trust. And these are all skills that we can help you develop. You will gain a lot of valuable skills in areas like communication, behaviour support and understanding people's health needs. It is a role where you will make a real impact, supporting people through both everyday moments as well as more complex, challenging situations. And in this role, you could be the reason why somebody feels heard, why they feel understood, why they might feel safe. You might be the reason why someone feels happy that day. It can be one of the most rewarding roles you can do when you're able to see and watch people gain confidence or achieve the goals or do something that they thought was never going to be possible. Many of our managers that we have in the service started out as support workers. There's a real opportunity to grow a career in care within the service, because we do have the kind of systems and processes in place for you to achieve all the relevant vocational qualifications to progress through the service. Equally, sometimes we have a lot of support workers that have worked in the service a long time. They don't want to necessarily progress, they just want to come in each day and make a difference. We are a 24-hour service, so it does involve working a mixture of shifts, earlies, lates, sleep-ins, night duties, weekends, bank holidays. The shift start times and finish times can vary house to house within the range of the kind of like between 7 and 8 start and 8:30 and 9 till 9:30, 10 finish, depending on the needs of the people that are living in the service that you're working in. We do try to work in a person-centred way with staff around shifts, because obviously if we can support you around the things that are important to you, then we believe that will help you to be person-centred with the people that we're supporting. It can be a challenging role at times, especially when you're learning how someone communicates or supporting people through times of distress, or managing some complex health needs. And it does take time to build trust with people. But you will be working as part of a team and you will receive full training and ongoing support. At the heart of the service is the people we support, and they want to be respected and listened to. They want people that are going to show patience and kindness, and people that are going to support them to live their life. And if you do apply and you come for interview, they will also want to meet you and ask questions about you as a person and your hobbies and interests, because they want to get to know you as much as you want to get to know them. So really, when we work with the people we support with recruitment, and they're wanting people who genuinely care, who are truly going to understand and connect with them. So if this sounds like you, then yeah, we would really love you to apply. Thank you.
Jill, that was really lovely. Okay, who is up next? It is Christopher, who is one of the healthcare support workers at Redkite View. As I mentioned, Redkite View is one of our children and young people's mental health service inpatient units. So Christopher, I will hand over to you.
Yes, I wanted to make sure that microphone is working. Hello, everyone. Thank you for the introduction. My name is Christopher, and I work at Redkite View, specifically with the PQ unit, which is a pediatric intensive care unit, where we work with young people from the ages of 13 up until they turn 18, and then they have to go because they assume to be adults, and they'll have to go to specialized locations where, like Neil said earlier, they can join them. So if you're looking at joining the healthcare support team at PQ Redkite View, we have 2 units there. We have the general adolescent units, what we call GAU, and of course we have PQ proper, which is pediatric intensive care units. So if you want to come join us, you are welcome. It is an interesting line of work. I must be very honest with you. You leave the house every day and you come to work looking forward to work with the young people who, for some reason or the other, they are here with us, and we are to support them to ensure that they live their lives to the fullest while they are with us. For me, I think one of the most satisfying part of the job is when you find people you've worked with for, in some cases, a couple of weeks, in some cases, a couple of months. If it stretches a bit, you're looking at maybe 3 months, 4 months. But for me, I think the most interesting thing is when they are due to be discharged, and then you look at them and they're feeling much, much better compared to when they came to the ward months back or weeks back, and then they say they're leaving. They tell you thank you, and then you either do a fist bump or you do high five, and you say, you in your mind, you really don't want to say see you later because I will meet them. You're asking them to come back, but you're saying, nice to have met you, and I hope and pray that you have, live a good life out there, be there, be responsible, take care of yourself, and be the best that you can be. Yeah, so that is basically, PQ and rescue and at Red Kite View. So basically, part of what we do there is, if you go down to the nitty-gritty of the assignment proper, is personal care. We help, of course, with personal care, ensuring that these young people who may have some sort of mental challenge or the other are given the best of care while they are here. They are treated with empathy, not sympathy. They might sound alike, but they're absolutely different. Don't treat them like because they're challenged, you look at them and you're like, oh, so sad. No, 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 no. That's not what they need. They need your support, which is why it is called healthcare support. They need your support to ensure that they go through the expectations of life while they are here. Some young people find it difficult to eat, either because they are anorexic or some reason or the other. So sometimes we sit with them. So while they're making their meals, you also, to an extent, therapeutically order for yours as well, and you sit there with them, you support them, which is the major thing. The part of our job again is to work with, that's why we also call clinical support team. We work with medical practitioners. You have registered nurses, and then you have medical team, or the wide array of the MDT units, where you have different people, psychologists, physiotherapists, medical practitioners, and the rest of them. And our bit is to ensure that policies that they may come up with that is embedded or inherent in the care plan of each and every individual is seen to be executed while they are, with us. Again, to support them to ensure that everything is okay. And part of what we do again is stocking of products, which includes, food items, nutritional items, health items, towels, you name it, everything we do it. And then, of course, like I said, feeding, positioning. From the environmental point of view, wherever you are, you need to ensure that where you are is clinically hygienic. These young people between you and I cannot do it, and it is obvious they can't do it. So part of what we do there is literally getting our hands dirty and making sure that the environment is clean. So once your hand is dirty, the environment is dirty. You work in a good and healthy place. They live in a good and healthy place, and everybody's better off, with it. I don't know how many of us can see the screen. The screen to the right is the complex where we're seated, and this is where I am now. It's not live, so even if I wave at the window, you can't see me, but that's where we are. And then the office there, or what we call the day space, is where we have most of our young people sat, where we interact on daily basis. Again, like my colleague Neil said, our timing is almost cast in stone because it's a 24-hour operated environment, and then we take turns, or what we call shifts, to ensure that the place is at every time occupied with staff to ensure that the young people are supported. So it's basically almost an 8 to 8 affair, We resume 7 o'clock in the mornings for handovers and all the rest. And then we stay up until 7:30, 7:45 when handover is done. And then by 8 o'clock, we're done for the day. And then, everyone goes home. Again, because it's a 24-hour service, not everyone gets to enjoy Easter or Christmas or Eid al-Mubarak or Eid al-Maulud, as it were. Some people have to be at the office, while some people have to sacrifice those days to be with their families because you miss out being with these young people, as it were. Some people might want to ask, okay, so healthcare support worker, is there any progress to this? Where do I go to from here? I think one of the first things as you come in is, unlike some other trusts, our trust starts you up basically from band 3, and then with time and then assessments, if you qualify, that's a caveat there. If you qualify, you get to be a band 4 health support worker. But if you want to move slightly above that, then you can go in and apply to be a nursing assistant. A nursing assistant here is the bridge between the core clinical team and the support team. And then if you want to go beyond that as well and become a professionally acclaimed allied healthcare practitioner where you become a nurse, then of course you can go to school. And we know that accept me if I'm wrong, the management of course supports healthcare support workers who have shown interest and qualify to go for nursing associates training or to go for full registered nurse training. So you want to come in, what are the major qualifications you need? It's obvious maths and basic English and basic mathematics are core competencies that you need to come in with. Some people come in with other levels of qualifications. Of course, I'm a graduate myself, so there's no big deal about it. But just come in with your core academic competencies, and then you sit with qualified people, sometimes including healthcare support workers who you go through interviews, and then if you qualify, you come in. But of course, you could also come in with the 15 qualifying care certificate programs, which includes duty of care and of course infection control and pediatric health, essential life support, which is PELS, and the rest of it. So anyone who's interested and who's part of this webinar should already be familiar with those 15 certificates that you need to be part of course, first aid and all the rest. So it prepares you for your interview, because if you're not familiar with it, and then you come for the interview, when they're asking you questions, as if they're asking you questions about aviation, being a pilot or being a fighter and all the rest, you will not be familiar with it. So it's best if you're very familiar with it, and then when you come in, questions should be things that you're already used to. So those are the key things. Again, like if you have questions, please throw the questions our way, and then we'll be willing to answer them. I look forward to meeting some of you. I'm not seeing your faces, but when you come in, if you're successful, as for Christopher, I'm at Red Card View here in Amley. My unit to speak to you, but I also work with GAU, and I'll be glad to welcome you and make you part of the team. Yeah, so thank you very much, and I'll pass you over to the coordinating member of staff for today's webinar. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Christopher. That was incredible, and thank you to Christopher, to Jill, to Neil for going through all of that for us today.
Thank you very much.
So I want to move us on now to just give you some top tips on how to make a good application and be successful at interview as well. So making a successful application for LYPFT, we use an online application system called Track. Lots of you, I'm sure, will be familiar with NHS Jobs. It's a very similar system to that. We can, however, provide alternative ways to apply if you need to. If you don't have access to be able to make an application online, you can complete the application form on paper and post it back to my team. All the information about that is on our website, or just drop a question into the chat and Joe will pick that up, or contact the recruitment team and we'll send you a paper application form. That's not a problem at all. We have on our website a careers section. And on the career section, I know Hannah's put lots of links in the chat box for us throughout the session. We have a lot of supporting guides on how to ask for reasonable adjustments if you need them throughout your recruitment journey. How to make a good application. There's a video that I've done taking you step by step through how to do a track application online. So that's a really good one to watch. There's lots of information on there about our values and our behaviours, and what we look for in your application form and interview. So please do go and have a really good dig around our careers page. There's lots of really helpful videos, documents to read, all in accessible formats for you. But when you are making your application, take your time. Please don't rush it. You don't have to do it all in one go. You can do a bit, save it, and come back later if you need to. But a good piece of advice is use clear language. Don't try and overcomplicate your experience or your knowledge. Keep it simple. We're looking for really clear evidence and real life examples of how you have provided care to either within a health setting previously, or if you've got lived experience, if you've been a carer for a family member or for a friend, or if you have personal lived experience, please put all of that into your application form. We really do value your lived experience, and you'll stand out as an applicant if you can demonstrate that. So be genuine. Definitely display your values and how they match ours. Remember that our values are caring, simplicity, and integrity. And if you do have volunteering experience, or as I mentioned, experience of lived experience or caring experience of any capacity, put it in your application form. It really does make all the difference. And then once you've been successful at application and you're invited to interview, just some top tips on how to be successful at interview as well. There's something called the STAR technique. You may have heard of it before, but it's one of the best things you can use at interview. And it just allows you to really structure your approach to answering a question. And it means that you have a structured and clear method of answering a question clearly and effectively. And it really helps you show the best version of you and your experience and skills by telling a story that demonstrates how you've handled maybe a specific situation in the past. So using the STAR method really helps you stay focused and clear. So the STAR technique is really simple, exactly what it says on the tin. S stands for situation. So you might be asked a question to explain how you've handled a challenge at work. So you say where you're working and what you were doing and the role or the capacity that you were in. What was the task? What was the task or the challenge that you were faced with? And to be really clear and concise about that, then what was the action? What did you do to address the challenge? What did you do to assess the task? And use language, I like to call it ownership language. So use I did this, not we or they. You're the one that's being interviewed and you're the one that's being assessed. So you take ownership of that action and say, I did this and I did that. And then R is for result. What was the outcome of your action? So you faced a challenge at work. What did you learn from it? Interview panels really like to see that if you, when you're answering a question, you explain what your answer is, you explain what the outcome was, but then what did you learn from it? How did you reflect on it? How did it make you a better person? As I mentioned at the beginning of the session, we are a values-based recruiting employer. So you will be asked in your interview some values-based questions. And this is simply because, as I've mentioned before, we build a value that reflects our values and behaviours. So we'll look for evidence of our values, caring, simplicity and integrity in your application form, but also at interview as well. It's a really great way for us to get to know you as an individual. We've assessed you at interview on your skills, your experience and your knowledge, but we also want to get to know about you and how you will be part of the team, how you'll interact with service users. And the best way we assess that is through asking values-based questions. When you apply, you will find a link to something called the Candidate's Guide to Values-Based Recruitment. Definitely have a read of this. It will really help you prepare for your application and your interview. There will be some examples of values-based questions in there as well for you to have a look at before your interview. So just be prepared to answer some questions around caring. So give an example of a time where you've shown someone compassion at home or at work. An integrity question might be, tell me about a time where you've had to face a challenge or you've had to challenge someone else's behaviours that you felt were inappropriate at work or at home. And simple, tell me about a time when you kept something really simple when you miss an obvious solution to a problem. They're the typical sorts of questions you can expect to interview. And I just want to touch on artificial intelligence in the recruitment journey. We're seeing a really high increase in AI generated application forms. There is on our careers page a candidates AI toolkit. So please do take a look. It's a really helpful, thank you, Hannah, she's popped the link in the chat. It's a really helpful tool to explain the power of AI and what is acceptable use of AI in recruitment and what isn't acceptable. AI can definitely enhance your application. It can help you prepare for the process, but it's really essential that you use them appropriately. And AI really shouldn't be used to provide any false or any misleading information at any stage of your application or your interview journey. And that's simply because we want to find out about you and how you align with our values and our behaviours and what we're looking for the role that you're applying for. So really, your application should represent your skills and your personal experience authentically. We do have a tick box on the application form. If you do use AI as part of a reasonable adjustment, so if you've used it to check your spelling or if you've used it to check your grammar, then please just tick the box so we're aware that you've used AI for those purposes. Because there are some acceptable ways to use AI for recruitment. Like I mentioned, they really do help refine and clarify your thoughts and your ideas. They can definitely help you to research information about the trust and about the role that you're applying for. And as I mentioned, they really can help you check your spelling and your grammar. But just be mindful that it shouldn't be used to exaggerate your skills and your experience. So a little bit about career development. Jill, Neil and Christopher all mentioned career development in their talks. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the session as well, we really are committed to supporting you to develop your career. Jill mentioned that there's some support workers within her service that love their job and they just want to be support workers, and that fulfills them, throughout their whole career. But then we do have a section of colleagues who want to keep progressing in their career. So they've started as a healthcare support worker and then they think, oh, wow, I love working in health and care. So now I want to become a nurse or an occupational therapist or a dietitian or a medic. Or this healthcare support worker role really is the start of so many different avenues you can take your career within health and social care. We have a really impressive apprenticeship offering within the organisation, and they're there to really support you develop your career if you want to continue to learn. There's lots of different pathways you can take from being a healthcare support worker. You can become a senior support worker, a deputy manager. You can then go on to study to be a nursing associate, to then become a nurse, to then become a senior nurse, or you can go down the allied health professional route and become an occupational therapist, a dietitian, a physio, a speech and language therapist. There really is such an amazing world of opportunity available to you when you've become a healthcare support worker. So the organisation really will help and support you to explore all of those career opportunities and help you put in place all the tools and things you need to be able to continue to learn, develop and grow. So before we finish the session and allow you guys some time to ask us questions, you're probably all sat there wondering, this sounds great, how do I apply? Well, at least I hope you're sitting there thinking, this sounds great, how do I apply? Because you've attended the session today, we will send you an email this afternoon with all the application links for all the vacancies that you've heard about today. So it'll be one email, and there'll be a link to apply for specialised supported living. There'll be a link to apply for older people service. There'll be a link to apply for Neil's role in adult acute, and there'll be links to apply for the roles in children and young people's that Christopher talked about. You can apply to one or you can apply to all of them. It is completely up to you. Do use the support guides on our website and that Hannah's put in the chat. I'll also make sure they're included in the email that we send out to you this afternoon as well. The vacancies will be open for 1 week, so they'll be open from today, and they will close at midnight on the 2nd of April. So you just have 1 week to apply. But if you have any questions or if you need any support in applying, please don't hesitate to reach out to the recruitment team. The number is on the slide if you want to take a photo of it, and so is our email address, but I'll make sure that those contact details are also in the email that gets sent out to you this afternoon. So a massive thank you for sitting there so patiently and listening to us all. But now's the time for your questions. So I know I've seen that the chat's been very active, which is fantastic. Thank you for asking your questions in the chat. But is there anybody who would like to take themselves off mute and ask a question to the group? We're here for another 7 minutes, so use the time to ask as many questions as you like, or just keep adding them into the chat if you feel more comfortable doing that. Neil's got a question.
No, I just to just elaborate a little bit on Joe's response to one of the things. Being a student nurse in itself wouldn't be prohibit you from applying for a position. It's just like really important when you go through the application process that you're clear about whether you're asking for part-time hours or you're looking for a job share, and just being really upfront about what you can and can't do. We've had a number of people that have come to our services that have been able to balance doing their nursing degree full-time and working as a support worker. It's quite grueling and there's a lot of work there, but people have done it. Just be like really upfront when you apply if that's the case in the first instance.
Brilliant, thanks Neil. Yeah, we have a lot of local students, local nursing students that study in Leeds and York that are either members of our bank team or do pick up part-time hours. I will say that a number of our service managers have recently mentioned to me that they're more open to part-time hours, job sharing, you know, even if you've got another job and you want to be a part-time support worker alongside another job, that's also an option. Let's just check the chat for Magda. Have you got a question?
No, hello. I really appreciate that because I'm a third year student nurse. And at the moment when I saw that it's not that many really post vacancies for newly qualified student nurses. So something like this would be just amazing for me to gain experience. So I'm really excited about this and I would like to apply if possible.
That's fantastic, Magda. Oh, you've made my day. Thank you. That's brilliant to hear. Yeah.
You made my day. Thank you.
No, you're welcome. It's what we're here for. Yeah, it is. It's tough, you know, when you first graduate, and you're so keen to get into the workplace. And you know, as a healthcare support worker, like I mentioned before, the career pathways are. There's such variety and options. It's really great. Oh, Christopher, did you want to come in?
Yes, I did want to say something. One of the attendees, I believe, did ask a question if you need qualifications, although Joanne had did answer to say, no, you do not need to have any specific qualifications to apply to be a healthcare support worker. Please do apply if you're interested. Yeah, so on that bit, I'm not contradicting what Joanne has said, but if you do have the care experience, you know, that's added advantage, because when you come for the interview, the questions that will be thrown your way are like, I believe we mentioned earlier, you don't need to lie about it. But once you experience it, the experience you have when you start telling the story, it will show in your passion. It will show in the way you present it. It's an advantage. It's a plus. However, if you don't have it and you do pass the interview and you become a staff member, become a healthcare support worker, we've got programs, tons and tons of programs in e-learning and trainings where you can learn to be a fully qualified healthcare support worker. And these trainings are basically twofold. You have the e-learning where you do on the system, and then you have the practical one where you have to go off to a class in the office not far from here, to get involved with practical work. Part of them, of course, is what we call PMVA, which is prevention and management of violence and aggression, just in case, and of course, PELS, which is a pediatric essential life support for young children. If they are choking, for instance, if they're eating and they're choking, how do you manage it? If you have a first aid issue, how do you manage it? So if you have that prior experience in that classroom, that's an added advantage for you. That's a plus. But if you don't have, that is not a problem. Pass the interview, come on board, and you have people who will teach you practically, and then you can go to the learning on e-learning or the practical experience. But don't fret, don't be worried. Take that leap of faith. That's all I can tell you. Don't be scared.
Perfectly said,
see it.
Christopher. Yeah, absolutely perfectly said. Yeah, it is. Take that leap of faith. If you find caring comes really naturally to you, if you have empathy, and if you just enjoy working with people of all different ages, then this is definitely the role for you. And we will, like Christopher said, fully support you into developing that that knowledge and skill set more. Okay. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. As I mentioned, the email will come out to you later today, and all the links and all the information will be in there. Oh, Neil, did you want to come back in?
I just wanted to, there was one final question in the chat, Sam, if I could just cover it dead quickly. It's no penalty on you to have no experience of delivering care. As Sam already said, we just really want genuine, caring people. And if you can have examples of that from any walk of life, and you're able to convey that curiosity, that care within an interview, we don't bother. We're not concerned if you have a qualification.
Yeah, no, thank you, Neil, for making that clear. It's really important that it's your lived experience and your values and your behaviours that we're looking for the most. Like I said at the beginning of the session, we're not looking for perfection, we're looking for potential. And as Christopher said, take that leap of faith, put that application in, and we'll support you with the rest of your journey. Okay. Thank you very much for joining us, and I can't wait to see all your applications come flooding in. Any questions, feel free to get in touch with the recruitment team. We're here to support you with your application and all the way through your recruitment journey. But have a lovely, lovely rest of your day, and hopefully see you all soon. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.